Jai Hind, dear children. Last class we discussed about economics, second chapter, sectors of Indian economy. In this chapter, we studied about economic activity and the importance of economic activities. Then we studied about sectors and the three main divisions of sectors in our Indian economy, like the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. And we also studied about the importance of these three main sectors. Among the three divisions of the sectors, first we studied about the primary sector. In primary sector, which is otherwise known as agriculture related sector, we make use of the nature or natural related activities to produce raw materials. Primary sector is also known as basic sector because it provides basic needs to all the other two sectors, and it contributes around 20% to GDP and above 55%. This primary sector is contributing to the employment sector also, and it is also the best labor consuming sector in India, because in India a large number of laborers are working in this primary sector, and it leads to the growth of economic development of our country. Secondly, we studied about secondary sector, which is otherwise known as industry related sector, because whatever products we produce in the primary sector can be made into a finished product in the secondary sector with the help of various manufacturing process. So this sector is also known as manufacturing sector or processing sector. It is in this sector that we are making the finished product. The third one is the tertiary sector or service sector. Is that sector which is providing help to other two sectors, that is the primary and secondary sector, for their development. That means there is an interdependent relationship between the three sectors in our Indian economy, and with these three sectors only we should have a complete development in our Indian economy. Then we studied how we can compare the three sectors with the help of GDP or gross domestic product. Here we study what is GDP. What is GDP? The value of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the GDP. And it is a central government ministry that took the task of calculating GDP to compare the three sectors and its developments. Then next we studied the historical changes that took place in the sectors of the Indian economy. In the beginning stages of our country's development, we can see that they are the maximum utilizing the primary sector, and it provides a path to the development of our country. But when we compare the GDP in different years, we can understand that primary sector is contributing very less in GDP, but its contribution to employment is very high. That means there is some problem which leads to this issue in primary sector. So when secondary sector develop with overproduction of primary sector, especially in agriculture, it leads to development of industries to make use of these raw materials produced in primary sector. So as a result of this, many employment opportunities developed in secondary sector, and there arose a shift from primary sector to secondary sector. And later in the past 100 years, when tertiary sector develops with various new types of job opportunities, it also led to the overall development of our sectors, because tertiary sector is providing employment opportunities to both skilled and unskilled laborers. In recent years, various basic services also included in tertiary sector, and various new ones were highlighted also, which led to the drastic change in our sectors of Indian economy. Then we studied about the four main reasons or stages that led to the rising importance of tertiary sector. The first one is development of basic services, and these basic services were provided by government with huge amount, and it led to the development of tertiary sector. The second one is the rise of development of agriculture and industry. When this agriculture industry developed, that means when primary and secondary sector develops, it also led to the development of tertiary sector by providing some services like trade, transportation, communication and banking. The third reason is that when income level of people rise, they want to afford more new modes of luxuries in life, like visiting tourist places, eating out, shopping, private hospitals, going to private hospitals and giving importance to privatization. So all these were included in the tertiary sector, and all these led to the development of tertiary sector. The fourth reason is that when some new services like information and communication technology included in tertiary sector, it led to the development of tertiary sector. So these are the main topics that we studied in our last class. Today we are going to study another important topic related to the chapter Sectors of Indian Economy, from the area comparison between the three sectors. The next topic that we want to study is where are most of the people employed? That means in which sector employment is more. That we are going to study with the help of GDP, because GDP helps us to know how much is the production in each sector, and at the same time it also helps us to understand how many persons are employed in each sector. So with the help of GDP, with the help of a graphical representation, we are going to study in detail in which sector is having more number of employment. With the help of this graphical representation from your textbook itself, it is very clear that they are giving a comparison between years like in 1972-73 and in 2011-12. In 1972-73, the employment percentage of primary sector is 74%. That of secondary is 11%, and that of tertiary sector is 15%. But when we compare it in 2011-12, from 74% of employment in primary sector, it decreases to 49%, and from 11% in secondary sector, it increases to 24%, and from 15% in tertiary sector, it increases to 27%. So from this comparison, we can understand that the GDP share of tertiary is high, but the way they generate to employment sector does not increase that much. And in the case of secondary also, same as in the case of tertiary. That means its share to GDP increase, but its share to employment does not increase that much. But in primary sector, the result is exactly different. The employment contribution decreases from 74% to 49%, but its contribution to GDP is very less. So, the final analysis from this graphical representation is that as primary sector is the largest labor consuming sector in India. But in GDP, its contribution is less compared to other two sectors, that is secondary sector and tertiary sector. So here the question comes is that why more people is employed in primary sector even though the GDP contribution from it is very less. The answer is very simple. Not enough jobs were created by the other two sectors, that is secondary and tertiary. So more population were forcing to work in a primary sector. For example, in secondary sector, the production went up by 9 times, but the employment went up only by around 3 times. At the same time, in tertiary sector, the production rose up by 14 times, which is very important, but the employment rose up only by 5 times. So from this we can understand that employment opportunities created by secondary and tertiary sector is very less, but their contribution to GDP is very high. So more people were forced to stick on the primary sector, mainly in agriculture, even though its contribution to economic development is very less. Here, an important question arose. Employers were more in primary, but their contribution is less. What that means, no production is going on in this area, or the workers in this sector is producing very less. What is the exact answer for this question? Do you have any idea? Yes. What does this mean is that in primary sector, more people are employed than necessary. That's why this problem is going on in this area. That means the primary sector. In other words, we can say that the workers in our primary sector, especially agriculture sector, are underemployed. Before going directly into the meaning of underemployment, first we want to know what is unemployment and what are the different types of unemployment exist in our country. So first of all, what is unemployment? What is unemployment? It is a situation which is said to exist when people between 15 and 59 years who are willing to work at the prevalent wages cannot find jobs. So once again, what is unemployment? It is a situation which is said to exist when people between 15 and 59 years who are willing to work at the prevalent wages cannot find jobs. In India, there are 4 main types of unemployment exist. They are seasonal unemployment, disguised unemployment, open unemployment, and educated unemployment. So once again, the 4 main types of unemployment exist in India were seasonal unemployment, disguised unemployment, open unemployment, and educated unemployment. So the first one, seasonal unemployment. What is seasonal unemployment? This type of unemployment problem happens when people are not able to find jobs during some months of the year. For example, people depend upon agriculture usually face such kind of unemployment. So once again, what is seasonal unemployment? Seasonal unemployment happens when people are not able to find jobs during some months of the year. For example, people depending upon agriculture usually face such problems or such kinds of unemployment. The second one is open unemployment. What is open unemployment? Open unemployment is a situation when the person does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. This is also called visible unemployment or naked unemployment. So, once again, what is open unemployment? This is a situation when the person does not have a job and is clearly visible as unemployed. This is known as open unemployment or visible unemployment or a naked unemployment. The third one is educated unemployment. This type of unemployment happens when many youths with matriculation, graduation, and post graduation degrees are not able to find jobs. So, what is educated unemployment? This educated unemployment can be seen more in our country also, because this situation happens when many youths with matriculation, graduation, and post graduation degrees are not able to find jobs. The fourth and the most important related to your topic is disguised unemployment. What is disguised unemployment? It is a situation when people appear to be employed but actually they are unemployed. In this situation, more people are engaged in a work than required. That is, they are made to work less than their potential. So, disguised unemployment is a situation where people appear to be employed but actually they are unemployed. In this situation, more people are engaged in a work than required. That is why they are made to work less than their potential. And this disguised unemployment is otherwise known as under unemployment. Disguised unemployment is a measure of employment and labor utilization in the economy that looks at how well the labor force is being utilized in terms of skills, experience, and ability to work. So, once again, disguised unemployment is a measure of employment and labor utilization in the economy that looks at how well the labor force is being utilized in terms of skills, experience, and ability to work. In short, underemployment is a situation in which individuals are forced to work in low paying or low skilled jobs. So, once again, in short, underemployment is a situation in which individuals are forced to work in low paying or low skill jobs. In your chapter, underemployment is a situation in which more workers are working in an activity than required. The people who are actually engaged in such an activity appear to be employed, but they are not fully employed. In this situation, workers perform below their productivity level. The disguised unemployment can be seen more in primary sector, but not only in primary sector. In secondary and in tertiary sector also, we can see the disguised unemployment, especially in small scale manufacturing areas. But among the three, this disguised unemployment problem is more in a primary sector related to agriculture. With the help of an example from your textbook itself, to make you more clear about the problem of disguised unemployment. That is, the example of Lakshmi. She was a small farmer having 2 hectares of unirrigated land and depending on rain. That means they are that much poor, not even having money to install a tube well or pump set. The 5 members of her family is working in this farm, and they grow crops like jowar and bajra. Here in this land area, there is no need of 5 laborers. Only 2 is enough. But the other 3 are not getting any other jobs. So they also engaged in this agriculture activity. The result is that people are apparently working, but all of them are made to work less than their potential. That is the result of disguised unemployment. So, if two members were hired by any other persons to work in his farm, then the productivity of land will not affect at the same time. It will increase the earnings of the family. Like Lakshmi, many farmers are there in India facing with the same problem of disguised unemployment. So if we create many new job opportunities and remove a few people from this agriculture sector to that area, it will not affect the production of agriculture sector, and at the same time it will increase the economic condition of our country. Disguised unemployment can also be seen in secondary and tertiary sector of our country. So it's the duty of the government to avoid this unemployment problem in all sectors of our Indian economy. Next topic, how to create employment. In this area, we are going to study what are the new employment ideas put forward by our Indian government in rural areas and urban areas to overcome the problems of disguised unemployment. So, various steps and policies. With the help of Lakshmi's example, we can have a detailed study about these steps and policies adopted by our Indian government to overcome the unemployment problem in various areas of our country. First of all, we are going to study about the steps adopted by our government to overcome unemployment problem in rural areas or semi-rural areas. The first step taken by the government to create new job opportunities in rural areas is the construction of new irrigation facilities. If new irrigation facilities were developed in rural areas, a lot of employment opportunities can be created. For example, in dry seasons, with the help of these irrigation facilities, farmers can grow more crops and they can engage themselves in these times also in agriculture activities. So, they can avoid the problem of seasonal unemployment as a result of this. At the same time, if canals, wells, and dams were constructed in rural areas, it will increase the agriculture productivity, and at the same time, these constructional activities can create employment generations to a lot of skilled and unskilled laborers. The second one is improved transportation system. Government can invest some money on the construction of roads for running mini trucks and providing job opportunities in transportation. So, the second one is improved transportation facilities or system. That means government can invest some money on the construction of roads for running mini trucks and providing job opportunities in transportation. The third one is government can also initiate local banks to provide credit, that means loans at reasonable interest to the farmers for their farming to improve. That means with the help of these loans at low interest rate, the farmers they can make use of their agriculture activities in the proper way. By starting many small-scale manufacturing industries in rural areas, government can create some job opportunities. Next is setting up of dal mills, opening cold storage centers, honey collection centers and industries to process vegetables and other agriculture products which can be sold in outside market, also help in increasing job opportunities in rural areas. So once again, setting up of dal mills, opening cold storage centers, honey collection centers and industries to process vegetables and other agriculture products which can be sold in outside markets can also help in increasing job opportunities. Next is by promoting and locating industries and services in semi-rural areas where a large number of people may be employed. So, by promoting and locating industries and services in semi-rural areas, we can employ a large number of people. More and more schools should be opened, which would create about 20 lakh jobs in the education sector with the help of the Nidhi Aayog, with a Prime Minister as its chairman. So another policy decided by the government with the help of this Nidhi Aayog is that about construction of new schools in the rural areas, which will create about 20 lakh job opportunities in education sector. To improve the health situation also, we need more doctors, nurses, health workers to work in rural areas. That means when we are giving more importance to the health condition in rural areas, our government decided to construct more hospitals, dispensaries, all that. As a result, in the construction field also, many people, they got job opportunities. At the same time, many doctors, many nurses and many health workers also were engaged in a job as a result of this. Especially in rural areas, we can make use of tourism development, and it also created many job opportunities. Nearly 35 lakh people were employed in this area as a result of the study conducted by the 5-year plan. So, our government want to give a lot of importance to this tourism development. Government also created many new measures to start or to create employment opportunities in urban areas. The first policy taken by the government to create employment opportunities in urban areas is mainly in the field of education. That means the education system should be made employment oriented. Vocational training should be merged in mainstream education pattern. So the main aim of this is that in the education field, the government, they want to give what are job oriented courses, or they want to give more job oriented education. Government should encourage the development of many cottage industries, small scale industries, agro based industries and handicraft industries in urban areas. So if they are developing these industries, it will be very beneficial for a lot of people in these urban areas to engage themselves in certain types of jobs, and it will increase the economic condition of that categories of people. Next is government should give cheap credit or loans so that people in urban areas can start many new enterprises or new businesses. At the same time, encourage foreign investment to generate employment. So the next is the government, they want to provide cheap credit or loans to people in urban areas so that they can start many new enterprises. And at the same time, the government, they want to encourage the foreign investment in our country to generate employment opportunities. Government should also adopt labor intensive techniques in place of capital intensive techniques. That means more laborers should be given importance in industries rather than machines. As a result of that, more laborers are in need of industries, and as a result of this, more employment opportunities should be created in that area. Another policy taken by the government in urban areas is that research and development work in all sectors must be promoted to evolve new avenues of generating employment. Another policy is that the government should frame new policies and programs to promote business activities to enhance economic growth and employment development in our country. So, once again, the government should frame new policies and programs to promote business activities to enhance economic growth and development in our country. And the last one is that in sectors like education, health sectors, and banking must be promoted by the government, which have huge job opportunities. So, the government they want to give a lot of importance to the education sector, the health areas, and the banking sector because these areas can create a lot of job opportunities in urban areas. In short, all these measures will take a lot of time to implement and to be fruitful in rural areas, in semi-rural areas as well as in urban areas. So, our central government made a law implementing the national right to work in 625 districts of India. The policy taken by or implemented by the central government on the basis of the right to work in 625 districts of India is called the Manrega 2005 or Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act 2005. Manrega 2005 is an Indian labor law and social security measure that aims to guarantee the right to work. This act was passed in 2005 by then Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. Under Manrega 2005, the government adopted many new provisions in order to give more importance to the unemployed people in rural and urban areas. So the first main provision is that under Manrega 2005, all those who are able to and are in need of work in rural areas have been guaranteed 100 days of employment in a year by the government. The second provision is that if the government fails in its duty to provide employment, it will give unemployment allowance to the people. So once again, if the government fails in its duty to provide employment in 100 days, then it will give unemployment allowance to the people. The types of work that would in future help to increase the production from land will be given preference under the Act of 2005. So, under this Manrega 2005, the types of work that would in future help to increase the production from land will be given preference. In short, Manrega 2005 Act tried to promote the panchayat to plan and execute all these powers at the same time. It also tried to reserve some 1/3 jobs to the women in this area. So, the main aim of this Manrega 2005 is to help those unemployed population in our country, mainly in rural and urban areas. My dear children, watch this video very carefully and copy down the important points. Then read your textbook 3 or 4 times. Okay, thank you.